Okay, you may have noticed the pictures up here at the top of the statistics screen. I just want to give a real quick teaser introduction to what those are. So these two Chinese symbols here are the symbols for intelligence and power. You would be amazed at how powerful statistics is in terms of holding authority in legal cases, presenting information in reports, advertisements, and areas that you might not necessarily think of: relationships, love, dating, social justice. These are all areas where statistics can play a very strong role, and hopefully your participation in this course will make you much more equipped in these areas. So these four pictures real quick, this is not necessarily the actual people involved, but what happened in this case was a lawsuit in Berkeley grad school where allegedly women were being discriminated against because when they looked at the admissions rate, 44% of the men who applied to Berkeley grad school were being accepted, whereas only 35% of the women were being accepted. So the question is, was there discrimination going on because of being women as they applied to grad school? And in this particular case, very interesting statistical phenomenon called Simpson's paradox was at play. So when they really looked into it, it turned out that there was not discrimination going on, but the statistics behind that case is very interesting. We'll take a look at that later in the semester. The second one, Robert Martin was a construction worker who had worked for Westvaco for a long time and was laid off, which in itself there was nothing illegal about, but he claimed he was laid off because of his old age, and that would be a legal issue. So using statistics, we can get to the probability of the chances that he may have been actually laid off, or that workers like him were laid off because of their age. And the final chapter of the book talks about this more in depth. And what ended up happening, they settled out of court for some money. This third one here is representing a case that happened fairly recently with a drug called Vioxx. So Vioxx was this drug that was prescribed mostly for arthritis and relieving pain, and became very popular. It was prescribed at one point for 80 million people in the world. And Merck, the company that produced it, had done some testing on the drug and had come across some statistical results that weren't real conclusive, but they twisted them just a little bit and kind of brushed them under the table for about 5 years, where even though they realized there was probably a danger, they kind of hid that information in what is called a type 2 error, and that's something, again, we'll learn about more in this course. And so this was actually a very serious error, and when it was discovered statistically, by that point there had been about 100,000 people who had had some form of serious heart disease as a result of taking this drug Vioxx. And so now Merck is dealing with about $5-6 billion in lawsuit cases, or dollars. So this is an issue where the statistics did show someone's guilt, whereas this showed someone's innocence. And this final one, this is supposedly oatmeal, is what I tried to get. There was a study done several years ago with nurses, mostly nurses in the sample, and they were looking at whether or not oat bran reduces the cholesterol level. So at that point, oat bran had been a very faddish diet, FADDISH. In other words, it was very popular suddenly. So what happened in this trial was that it wasn't shown to be statistically significant on lowering cholesterol. And so some newspapers published this immediately as saying oat bran fails to lower cholesterol. When the reality was that because the sample was so healthy anyway, they really didn't have much room for lowering their cholesterol levels. Whereas later it was shown that oat bran really can reduce cholesterol. And so I mentioned this one because of the what you may read in articles on the news related to health. Is coffee healthy? Is chocolate healthy? So in this course, we'll learn more about how to evaluate those claims and see whether or not it's just some media reporting on a result but not generalizing it appropriately, or when indeed there is a statistical study that could and should affect the way that you live your life. Okay, so lots of fun stuff to come in this course.